Doors are now open for the experience that helped me increase my profits, feel more easeful with my money, and build a legacy I'm proud of. Relaxed Money is hosted by my trusted money mentor, and it's made a lasting difference in how I earn, save, and give. If you want money to feel calm, clear, and aligned, join us now. Links in the show notes.
You'd be surprised to know how much other people are experiencing that sense of disconnectedness and fear. When you reach out, you build that connection, and then you can build that safe space, recognizing the people and the places that make you feel good and make you feel safe, and spend time with those people. I think that's the biggest gift that you can give to yourself to make sure that you're staying grounded and staying true to who you are.
Hi, welcome to the Connect with Sheila Botelho podcast. I'm committed to helping you reconnect to your purpose, elevate your well-being, and build your version of a happy, successful life. And I'm so excited to bring you today's guest, a woman whose grounded wisdom and compassionate insight are such a gift in today's fast-paced, high-performance world. Maureen Codispodi is a therapist and the founder of Help Clinic Canada, a counseling practice that offers low-fee, accessible mental health care for Canadians by Canadians. And she brings a thoughtful, international, and down-to-earth lens to conversations around mental well-being, especially for women doing big things in business, leadership, and life. Her work is rooted in real-life experience from years of supporting entrepreneurs, creatives, and high-achieving women. And she has a gift for helping us recognize when hustle is quietly hijacking our joy and how we can overcome and come back to ourselves with compassion and clarity. Maureen, welcome. I'd love to begin by having you share a snapshot of what brought you into this work, like what you were navigating before, what called you into the work that you're doing now.
Thank you for asking me, Sheila. So I like to say that I'm new to therapy, but I'm not new to the world, and I'm not new to life. So I've lived quite a life and had lots of ups and downs and pivots in my career and personal and professional lives, and um, every single twist and turn on that journey has made me able to do and be who I am in this role. And it's without all of those pieces, I don't think I would be able to confidently step into what I am doing today. As you said, I have had the privilege of working with so many people over so many years in all of my various roles in helping people in many places. I've lived abroad. I've cycled across Canada. I've had so many adventures and twists and turns with becoming a teacher and a therapist and a coach and all sorts of things. And quite honestly, what I do realize is that, coming back to live in Canada and seeing the gaps in mental health care, I just realized that there are solutions, there are ways to figure out how to navigate a public and private system where we can work together and kind of solve some of the problems that we're seeing. And so I'm using all my experiences and bringing them all together to be able to yeah, just more successfully remove obstacles for people, and ideally promoting access to mental health supports and therapy for everybody.
Everything you just said really relates to, I mean, so much to just the human journey for sure, and the entrepreneurial journey, because so often I find that with people that I've been working with and people that just are in my sphere, their methodologies, everything, it's not like necessarily all coming from a book. It is coming from the lived experience. And even though you can be classically trained, there is so much in terms of layering that happens when you bring your own personal humanity into it. So I love that you started with that. And so how long has it been now? Maybe tell us a little bit about how, how long it's been for Help Clinic Canada, and like what that process has been like,
Yeah.
putting it together,
Yeah.
because it's a big deal. It's a lot of moving parts, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, yesterday so May 6th, we officially celebrated our 1 year anniversary of having our doors open, which is amazing. However, that journey started long before 1 year ago, for me, and I would say it's been about 2 years, 2.5 years of putting it all together. While still the trajectory is quite steep in terms of building this business, I'm proud of what I have accomplished in such a short time. From founding a company to getting the word out there to getting, clinicians in place to getting clients to getting our low fee program in place to getting, student programs in place. So we also, much of our low fee program is run through the help of our amazing university partnerships and just getting those in place and getting all of those pieces. It's been quite interesting and quite honestly, there isn't a day that something new is not happening or changing behind the scenes. And my initial vision and where we are now look a little different, and that's okay because I'm very much okay with imperfection, and I'm okay with saying, this is where I wanted to go, and this is the reality of where we are. But I have to say that, I naively came into entrepreneurship. Like I've been in human-based professions for my entire career. And I don't have a background in business. I don't have a background in marketing. I don't have a background in anything um, remotely connected to building a business, aside from my skills dealing with people and networking and building community. I think those are my biggest assets, but it's been a steep learning curve. And what I know is that no matter where I get to, I am really proud of what I've done so far. And there's only more to do. And I'm just so, so excited about what's next because I'm starting to see that like all this effort, all this energy in building it, the foundation is there now. And so we're starting to take off. And it's so exciting because I'm going to get to help so many people. And that's really the goal.
Oh, so beautiful. And when I think about these human-based skills that you have, like that's really where we're headed. Like having what I mean by that is in business and entrepreneurship, like that's where the gold is. All of the other things we're seeing that they can get taken care of by so many different tools and people who really thrive in that area. So really what you have is the secret sauce a lot of people I experience in my coaching struggle with is those human-based skills. So yay that you have those and that you're using them for such a really important way of supporting people. And so here you are now in this entrepreneurial space. And so you're bumping up against and rubbing shoulders with a lot of other high achieving women and entrepreneurs as well. And as you've had the lens to look through everything I'm so curious to hear like what is one misconception that you often see when it comes to the term like women handling it all? Like, what's that? What does that mean to you?
Interesting question. I really, I'm afraid to answer for it being my only opinion because I think I have like a few different vantage points of answering this question,
I'd love
right?
to
And
hear them.
so I have, my own personal experience, which I think is always a good place to come from, right? So I wear lots of hats. Um, in my role as a founder, I wear a lot of hats. In my role as a therapist, I wear a lot of hats. In my role as a partner and mother, I wear a lot of hats. Uh, and on I could go, but here's the thing, I don't know that I have it all handled. And I think that when we say like, oh, what does it look like for a woman to have it all handled? I'm not really sure what that looks like personally. I think that every day that I get up, am I doing something that brings me joy? Did I check some things off the list? Did I, support my children? Was I there for them? Did I do all of the things that I said I was going to do? Probably not. Am I okay with that? Yes. So at the end of the day, having it handled for me is about my sense of self-worth, my sense of contribution, right? And if I was like measuring it against somebody else's ruler or somebody else's measurement, I don't know that I could live up to that standard. And as I said before, I don't think that I would be able to take on what I have taken on without sort of the wisdom and knowledge of my life experience to say to myself, like, oh, well, that's okay, right? I don't have to have it handled, right? And the more that we speak openly and vulnerably about what's really going on, the more we find we get supported, right? In conversations like this, or with other founders, or with other people that we can share our experiences with, you find the more you open up, the more you realize that you're not alone in that. And so having it all handled is sort of like a misconception, I think. For me, I don't think I'll ever have it all handled, and I'm kind of proud of that, because I think that means I'm taking on different things. I'm trying new things. I'm, widening my scope. I'm, like I said, not just saying, oh, well, this is exactly where I want to go, and just aiming to get there. I'm, just enjoying the journey, and I'm taking it one step at a time. And then when you like look at having it all handled in terms of my company, right, as a founder, I don't think I don't know. I don't know when that'll be that I'll have it all handled, and that's okay. I think that the perception that having it handled, that's problematic to me. Obviously, like coming from the lens of a therapist, if I had a client that said to me, "I've got it all handled, I've managed it all," I would be very curious about that, right? And I think rightly so. Uh, yeah, right. So um, I think at the end of the day, you have to be able to say to yourself, is it possible for me to take this on? Is this going to bring me joy? Is this what I want to be doing with my time and energy? And actually like thinking about it for yourself, and not in terms of like what society expects or what other people expect, right? And we all have, unless you live, I don't know, in a bubble somewhere, social media impacts how we navigate the world, and it impacts our expectations of ourselves and others, and it's not always accurate. And so just checking, wait, where did I get the idea that I need to have it like this, or it needs to look like this, or it needs to be like this, all packaged up in a bow? We need to check, like, where did I get that idea, and is that realistic at all? And I think one of the greatest lessons that I've learned in the last couple of years is that I can't do this alone. I am an overachiever. I do a lot of things, but I can't do it alone. And I know before we got on this recorded call, we were talking about women networks and just how important they are in this industry, and just to champion each other and support each other and have spaces where we can get vulnerable and say, like, I don't have it handled, and that's okay.
I love it. That's exactly why I asked that question, because I really want to highlight the fact that it is actually a misconception. There's this idea that, when we get to a certain place, when we feel successful, whatever that, again, that's why I was talking about creating your version of success. Like, what is success today in this moment? Like, every day is different, and that's okay. So I love that you responded in that way, because it's there's no such thing as ever having it handled. I completely agree. I don't have it handled. And maybe in a moment or two, you might feel like, oh, I'm feeling like really like I've got things together right now. And then life and things happen. And I think this is really a catalyst for burnout, is when people think they have to have it all handled. So I am so curious, in your experience, what does burnout, that people are always talking about burnout, right? What does it actually look like in real life, not just in theory? Because I mean, you're witnessing it, I'm sure, with many of your clients.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, yeah, I do witness it, and burnout is something that is talked about a lot. Quite honestly, as a therapist, it is a really important topic of conversation, because it's a human-based profession, right? And human-based professions notoriously have high burnout. And so I am really familiar and comfortable with that idea, but in real life, it's not always what you expect. Um, and I think that it's not going to look the same for every single person, but your people know you. And the people that know you are going to notice when things start to change. And so burnout can look like, you know, overcommitting and then not being able to actuate on your promises. It can look like being really grumpy with your family, your partner, your children. It can look like being overly anxious, worrying about things that you wouldn't normally worry about. It can look like sleepless nights. It can look like feeling of overwhelm and being, sort of like stuck, right? Where you're kind of in those moments of like grinding gears and you kind of like, but, like, and you can't make motion towards actual like meeting expectations or goals or checking things off the actual list, but you just like sort of sit in this like rumination of like, I have a thousand things to do and I can't take a step forward into even completing one of those tasks. And so I don't think it looks the same for every person. And I'll just speak from my personal experience, not necessarily as a therapist, but me personally. Um, when I notice that I need extra downtime or that I'm just my bandwidth for dealing with discomfort or people that irritate me gets a little less, right? And then I think, oh, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to source myself to make myself feel better? And often it's like taking the things off the list, um, reevaluating, and then taking a step forward. But again, it can never be the same for everybody. So it's often like check your people. Your people are your biggest sort of indicators. Like, have you noticed something different about me? Am I acting strangely? What's happening for me? And also, as an entrepreneur and as a person that's big into creating networks of people that where we support each other is like check in with each other, ask each other the real questions and wait for the real answer. Don't just ask to say like, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. No, wait for the real answer and give each other that space to be open and share, because sometimes burnout can be solved just by unpacking what's really going on and making some priorities, right? And seeing like, okay, I don't have to do the 25 things on my list. I can just start with 3, right? And then saying, oh, that's enough, that's okay. But sometimes we can't even unpack the list until we feel safe or we have a person that helps us to unpack it. And obviously, like being a therapist, I can see from the inside of the therapy room that like that happens often, and that's a really helpful strategy. But, you can start there with your trusted people and just, try to recognize like I'm not my normal self. What's really going on?
Yeah. And I think another thing I've witnessed that comes up, and I've witnessed this in myself as well through the years, because we're always cycling through starting something, different seasons of business, and then, delivering things, pivoting. And there's always that constant shift. And it's something called functional freeze. And it's like you're operating. No one on the outside would actually realize that you are experiencing this kind of feeling inside of yourself. And so it's like finding that balance between healthy drive and harmful overfunctioning as well, because then we're able to kind of navigate those busy times instead of just being like completely in overwhelm and functional freeze. I think those two things go side by side. um so actually, out of curiosity, because that is kind of, it's linked to this idea that, you know we feel like so much rests on us. We have to do it. We have to be the one. So, what would you say to the woman who feels like if she slows down, everything will fall apart?
Oh, well, I think that that is a question for the ages. I don't know that I've met many women that accept that fully, right? So even in theory, they might say, "Oh, like I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking time for myself. I'm doing the self-care things." But self-care becomes another thing on the checklist, right? And so I don't know. I mean, I think that we as a culture of women, right, outside of entrepreneurship, but just a culture of women, who want to achieve things, we end up just deciding based on all these expectations that like it's our responsibility. We have to do the things, just like you said, and being able to actually, delegate, give up jobs, give them to other people, is a source of shame and embarrassment, is a source of like, I'm not good enough. Why can't I just do it? But at the end of the day, no matter if you're running an organization or a household or whatever your task is, you don't have to do every job on the list. Um, One thing I can say is prioritizing your list, whatever you're running, whatever you're doing, whatever your role is that day or that moment, prioritizing the list and saying, okay, what's the one thing I can do? And what's the one thing I can delegate? But here's the thing, delegation is really tricky for some of us. And I speak with honesty, right? It's my company. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be exactly the way I want it to be. And how can they handle it? I have learned to let some things go through the last, what I said, couple years. And I have amazing, amazing interns on my team who help me every day. And what I've realized is that if I give them the space, they rise to the challenge and show me and teach me things that I didn't know before. Um, am I okay if some things are imperfect? Yes. Have I always been that way? No. Right? And I would say that I'm getting better at it, but I don't know that I'll ever be really good at it, but I do appreciate the team of interns that I have. And quite honestly, so far all of my interns have been female. Most of them are social works or counseling psychology students. So they're in helping professions. They're amazing individuals. And a lot of them are stepping into doing things in business that they don't have skills in because they're doing their practicums in a private practice, in a private setting, in a private institution. And so it's really amazing because then I feel like, oh, wait, they don't know it either, even if they are so much younger than me. I mean, they don't know social media. I thought I was the only one, right? And so whatever that is, and so whatever tasks they have or whatever jobs they're doing, what I've noticed is when I give the space, I feel a sense of relief. I can let go of the perfection piece of it because I know that they're going to have an opportunity to learn, but it's only through that relationship that it's allowed me to sort of let go of some of the control. Um, and I think that having students, it's actually been a gift to me to teach me so many things, you know, that a lot of people wouldn't talk about. And it's that like grace for myself and grace for others. And because I have a background as an educator, I know that in order for students to learn, they need to feel safe. And so, and to enable that safety, I have to show the vulnerability too. And so it's like this complex relationship that has allowed me to sort of step back, and be better able to let other people handle and grow my business with me, as opposed to me saying, "Well, it's my company and it all falls with me and I have to handle everything." I much prefer I much prefer sitting together with people than sitting alone because it feels enormous when I'm there and it's just me. I don't know that I'll ever be perfect at delegating though, and I don't know anyone that is. So, yeah.
It really is a practice. And it is this sense, I think, of you put so much into creating the idea. It's your baby. It's so important to you. So it's only normal and it's only human that you'll feel that way. But I love that you've leaned into it and that you're also getting a different perspective from your interns and realizing that we're all just on this learning journey. Like we know it intellectually, but to be in it and to experience it is so different. It's like we're learning on a different cellular level, really. But yes, I agree with having. Yeah, entrepreneurship can feel very lonely. Business ownership, like being the person, the key decision maker, where people maybe don't feel as accessible and approachable as you may be. There's still kind of like people think in hierarchy. So it can feel lonely in a sense to say, hey, look, I really want your ideas. No, really, I'm not going to judge you for them. Like I really want them, right? And to be seeing people as equals in the workplace, really. And and I think also though through this process, and like conversations like this are so powerful because it invites us to always learn to prioritize sustainable mental health practices without guilt, like knowing that taking that space, asking for help, delegating, doing those things, that's how you're protecting your peace. And that's how you actually are able to show up more powerfully in the work that really you're called to do. Because if you're doing all the things, your energy is depleted. You're not able to actually serve in the way that you're meant to. And so you mentioned this, you alluded to it earlier. What do you suggest for someone who does want to begin tending to their inner world, but feels like they don't have time for one more thing? Like I have to say, I'm really big, like self-care is my jam. And it's my self-care practice for people usually is what can we let go of? What can we do less of instead of all of these things? It's like, so what would your guidance be on that for the people with
Yeah.
the one more thing constantly on their mind?
I love that. I love the self-care list being taking away the list. That's a great priority. But for me, I think often what I see um, with clients with years of experience is that I think we have this idea that self-care has to be something big, expensive, and arduous, right? And like the simplicity of like taking the thing off the list is an excellent example. But, you know, I think a way I come to look at it, it's like what makes me feel like me, what brings me back to myself. Um, and often those things are simple, simple things. And I use this example all the time. Like maybe it's a cup of coffee. Like I know for me, when I wake up in the morning, and I grind the beans and I boil the water and I do all the steps and then I smell the coffee and I drink the coffee. I do that every day. But do I do it consciously? Do I stop to think about what I am doing? Do I stop to enjoy that ritual? Do I relish in that moment of silence before like the world comes at me? Yeah, I do because that's my self-care practice, right? Like that's one of the things that I do. Did I have to add it to a list? No. All I needed to do was decide to pay attention to the thing I'm already doing that I know brings me so much joy. And like that's just a simple example. But when you start to analyze like the things that you're doing on a daily basis, you come to realize like self-care isn't necessarily about like going to the spa. Yeah, like that might be a nice idea, but it's not that. It can be those simple things like, looking at like your rituals of morning and night and adding special treats into those things. Like maybe it's like, oh, well, I'll use that extra special cream for my face, or I will do that extra long walk with my dog, or I will just stop for a moment. In the middle of the forest while I'm walking my dog and just look at the trees and just think, wow, how beautiful this is and how lucky I am. Sometimes self-care is just being conscious of everything that's going on in your life and realizing like you're already doing the things that are nourishing your soul, but you need to stop and pay attention. So that's how I do it because otherwise I wouldn't be taking care of myself very well, admittedly, because I have a busy schedule, right? And so the chores that I actually love are coffee, walking my dog, taking my kids to school. But I stop and enjoy all of those moments. And I think sometimes we put the bar way up here and it doesn't need to be. So just simplify.
Maureen, you have made so many coffee lovers incredibly happy right now. They're like, yes, another reason why we love coffee. We're going to take more of our time while we're enjoying it. Oh my goodness. My husband his ears are ringing somewhere right now. Yes. And I love this. Today on my walk, and so I went to the gym and I did some walking on the treadmill and I was going to get right to work. And I was like, it's so beautiful out right now. And hello, right? Canadians, it's May when this is being recorded. And there are buds on the trees. There's leaves coming out now. I was walking down the street. I said, I'm just going to go for a quick walk. It turned into a 30-minute walk. And I heard the most beautiful cardinal song in the air. And I was like, I'm so close to one right now. Where is it? And I literally just stopped everything I was doing. And I stood and stared at the tree. I'm like, it's this tree. And I stared at the tree for a good 5 minutes. And finally I spotted it. I took a video of it, of course. So I'm like, I have to remember this, send it to my friends who love cardinals. And it was just, it lit me up in a way that is hard to describe. Cardinals have a special meaning to a lot of people. They have a special meaning to me. And so what you said there, yeah, like taking the moment, being present. I love being present with my kids. I love to, on a walk, I'll lean against a tree and just kind of breathe it in and sit in the sunlight and literally feel my cells being charged by the sun. Like these are things that are free. Yet it takes time. And our time is technically not free, right? Because when we think about it, especially in business, time is money. And I look at these things not as something to rush through because we have to get to something else. They are an investment in the way we show up and the way we serve. You know, when I first, connected with you today, you had a peace and a calm about you and a grounded centeredness. Like I'm sure people watching this or listening can hear it in your voice and see it in your face. And that obviously is something you've cultivated. And I think it's the presence that's doing it. That's my thought for you.
Oh,
um,
thank you.
which is really meaningful right now because we're in a time in the world, and we're always in these times in the world, but right now we're in another one where the world really feels uncertain for a lot of people, right? There's always something happening on our economic or just the global scale. And so these sound like beautiful ways for people to reconnect with themselves during times like this. But I'm wondering if anything else comes up for you around that particular piece, guidance that maybe something, a practice that you do or something you guide your clients or friends to do.
Mhm. I think I want to mention two things. I think one um, is important because of the work that you do, Sheila, and the people that you're working with, in that, you know, sometimes just getting really present with the person that you happen to be with in the moment can be such a great gift. We're being bombarded by social media and news and stress of the world. And like, not to say that I don't experience those things, but when I'm with you here, for example, like I'm here with you, I'm not thinking about my to-do list. I'm not thinking about, whatever else is on my mind. I'm in this conversation with you. So again, right, it's practicing presence. It's practicing just attuning to what's really going on. And I think sometimes that can be the biggest gift you give yourself, and it's so simple. Sheila, I'm going to ask you, sorry, I hope you're editing this. Can you repeat your question for me?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to ask you, how do we reconnect with ourselves
Mm,
when the world
sorry.
feels uncertain, especially
Thank
when
you.
we're in a season of transition too?
Mhm. Thank you. So, reconnecting with ourselves sometimes is just as simple as I said, as like getting really present with the people that we're with, as opposed to, letting the lists, letting the outside world sort of consume our thoughts or take us away from what's going on. um and I said about how we take care of ourselves and our well-being, and that's actually connected to like getting grounded for ourselves, right? So it's like that back to being, back to who I truly am. And so often, whether it's with friends or with clients or whoever, I'll have people make a list of, you know tell me 5 things that, if you did them right now, they would make you feel really, really good, right? Like for me, it's the coffee, right? The coffee or the walk in nature, right? And so the world is going to keep moving, things are going to keep coming up, and it's going to continue to be stressful. And those things, most of them are out of our control, right? And so just like reframing and saying, I'm here in this moment doing this thing that I really enjoy, and getting really present to it. So some things for people, you know, I don't know what those are for everybody, right? And some of them can be really silly, right? And some of them can just make you laugh or bring you joy. Like I know lots of people like to watch silly videos of funny animals or something, right? But it brings you joy. It brings you back to that place in your heart where you feel good, and like the rest of the world and the rest of the stress can sort of fall away. And I think one of the biggest ones is finding safe spaces, right? So for different people, they look so very different, but finding your safe spaces, right? And if you don't have those safe spaces, ask, ask, reach out, share, be vulnerable, because you'd be surprised to know, how much other people are experiencing that sense of disconnectedness and fear, right? And so when you reach out, you build that connection, and then you can build that safe space where you feel free to share and free to be who you are, no matter what that is. And it can be in a virtual space or it can be in real life, but recognizing the people and the places that make you feel good and make you feel safe, and spend time there and with those people. I think that's the biggest gift that you can give to yourself, to make sure that you're staying grounded and staying true to who you are.
100% agree. Some of my most beautiful connections were made in the online space. And I think it's because you hear, and for years I heard this in my direct sales business, in my wellness business, this whole idea that, I'm the only one in my family who's doing this, or I'm the only one in my community who's trying to launch a business. Like nobody understands. Like I have loving family and friends, but they just don't get it. And so being in a space where people are understanding, like finding that ecosystem where you really can plant your ideas and grow and nourish yourself and be nourishment to others is so incredibly valuable. I love everything that you shared. That's so helpful. And I think during this time that we're in, it's something we can actually take with us into all the future times when we have the upheavals that come, and also knowing that it's like the seasons are consistently changing and we're moving through them. And then we move into a lot of times of beauty, and that we can use all of these tough things we go through and that we witness to really be like fertilizer for the goodness that comes, and we can really celebrate. I mean, that's one thing about being in a community of people who are, growing and trying to bring something to life into the world, like whether it be a business, et cetera, is the celebration piece, being able to witness and celebrate somebody in what they're doing. It's just so empowering, and it shows you what's possible. So, Maureen, I have so enjoyed our conversation. I feel like you and I could have like a weekend retreat with, coffee for you, matcha for me, and, knees up on the couch and cozying in on another deep conversation. I so could see that. I would love for people to find out where they can find and follow you. And also, let me know, like now I know we talked about coffee and certain things, but is there something like what did you do today, or what will you do today that you are expecting to do that would be like self-care for you and light you up in the best way?
Mhm. Oh, thanks for asking. I live in a really beautiful place. So I'm going to answer the self-care for me question. I live in a really beautiful place, and as you said, it's spring in Canada, and I live on the West Coast, and I am very privileged to live where I do, and it's very beautiful. But I cannot see the ocean from my house. But if I go just down the road, I can see it. And so, uh, my intention is that at the end of my workday today, I'm going to, you know, go walk and look at the ocean and just spend some time and enjoy it for all its beauty. I think that's the thing that I want to do to nourish my soul. And yeah, I actually had that thought this morning as I went for a walk. I thought, just go a little bit further. No, I don't have time. So tonight is the time. And follow me. You can find Health Clinic Canada. You can find us on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Maureen Codispodi, and I would love to see you join us in any of those spaces and champion what we're up to.
So beautiful. Maureen, thank you for your honesty and the gentle strength that you bring to the work that you do and that you brought to this conversation. I know so many of the people listening really needed to hear your words. It's really incredible when you see what people are going through when they actually share what's happening, right? We don't always see on the outside. And so in these quiet moments when someone's got their ear pods in and they're listening to a podcast, I know that this probably landed for a lot of people. And so for those of you who are listening, also, if this conversation resonated with you, please take a moment to share this episode with a friend or tag us on Instagram. We would really love to hear what landed for you most. And always stay tuned to the show notes. There'll be ways for you to find and follow Maureen and see what she's up to. Maureen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sheila, for your time. This was a lovely conversation.
So everyone, thank you for listening. I'm wishing you peace, power, and permission to care for yourself deeply, because your well-being is not a luxury. It is a necessity. See you in another episode. Big blessings.